On a 5-match losing streak, carrying the worst form of her professional life, Magdalena Frech walks into Rome, needing something she cannot manufacture from confidence alone. Across the net stands Alex Eala, a 20-year-old who was ranked outside the top 140 just 14 months ago, who climbed to world number 29 in March, and who desperately needs this specific surface to stop punishing her. Two players in genuine crisis meeting on the red clay of the Foro Italico, and only one of them gets to leave with proof that the bleeding has stopped. This is the first round of the 2026 Italian Open, and it might be the most psychologically loaded opening round match in the entire women's draw. Let me take you inside this matchup. The Italian Open runs May 5th through May 17th at the Foro Italico in Rome. 14 red clay courts, the new super tennis arena unveiled this year, and a singles draw of 96 women. If you are in the United States, the Tennis Channel carries every session, and you can stream it through Fubo, DirecTV, or Sling TV. In the United Kingdom, Sky Sports holds the broadcast rights, with streaming available through Now TV. The WTA first-round matches begin airing on Tuesday, May 6th, with early sessions starting at 5 or 6 in the morning Eastern Time, depending on the day. Now, the context. Alex Eala has had a 2026 season that looks brilliant if you squint at the highlights and worrying if you stare at the full picture. She reached the quarterfinals of the Miami Open as a seeded player, the 31st seed, beating Laura Siegemund in a 3-set battle, then rolling past compatriot by circumstance Magdalena in straight sets, before falling to Karolina Muchova. Before Miami, she made quarterfinals in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. She was a semi-finalist at the ASB Classic in Auckland. On hard courts, from January through March, she was one of the most consistently dangerous players outside the top 20. The ranking reflected it, number 29 on March 16th, a number no Filipino tennis player had ever touched. Then clay arrived. At the Linz Open in mid-April, Eala opened with a competent straight sets win over Julia Grabher. Her serving numbers were respectable: 60% first serves in, 68% of first serve points won, 9 of 10 break points saved. She looked like someone translating her hard-court confidence onto the slower surface. And then Jelena Ostapenko happened in the second round, and the momentum vanished. In Stuttgart the following week, Leylah Fernandez dismantled her 6-1, 6-4, using her forehand to dictate from the first game and never allowing Eala to establish any baseline rhythm. The scoreline was the kind that reveals not a bad day but a structural mismatch in preparation. Madrid offered both an answer and a new question. In the round of 128, Eala played Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova, the former French Open finalist, and produced a controlled, disciplined performance. She won 6-3, 6-3. Her first serve percentage hit 68%, and she won 76% of those points. She broke the Russian's serve 3 times and never looked anxious. It was the best version of Eala on clay, patient, precise, willing to extend rallies without losing offensive intent. 2 days later, Elise Mertens erased that memory completely. The Belgians' 2-6, 1-6 demolition of Eala was not a collapse in the dramatic sense. It was a tutorial in what happens when a top 20 player imposes serve and return dominance against someone who has not yet solved the problem of being controlled on this surface. Mertens won 93% of her first serve points. Eala won 53%. The math was merciless. So Eala arrives in Rome carrying 1 excellent clay court win and 3 bad to catastrophic losses. Her record on the surface this year stands at 2 wins and 3 defeats. She pulled out of the Catalonia Open, a WTA 125 event, specifically to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca before coming to Rome. That decision tells you everything about her priorities. She is not chasing ranking points on a side tour. She is investing training days into solving the problem that keeps humiliating her on this surface. The question is whether 10 days in Mallorca can produce change fast enough. There is also the ghost of last year. In her 2025 Italian Open debut, Eala drew Marta Kostyuk in the opening round and lost 6-0, 6-1. That is the worst kind of memory to carry back into the same venue, not a competitive loss you can learn from, but an erasure. She touched the ball. She ran. She did almost nothing else. Rome owes her nothing. She has to take whatever she gets. Now consider the woman on the other side. Magdalena Frech turned 28 last December. She has been on tour for years. She won her first WTA title at the Guadalajara Open in September 2024, beating Olivia Gadecki in the final. She reached the fourth round of the Australian Open that same year. In November 2024, she touched a career-high ranking of number 22. By every reasonable metric, she entered 2026 as a solidified top 30 player with a proven clay court pedigree. Polish tennis has Iga Swiatek at the summit, but Frech was the other one, reliable, experienced, capable of beating top 10 players on any given day. She took out Emma Navarro at Wuhan in 2024. She beat Mira Andreeva in Berlin in 2025. That was then. The 2026 version of Frech is someone different. Her season record stands at 10 wins and 11 losses. She reached the final of the WTA 500 in Merida in early March, losing to Kristina Buxa. Since that final, since March 1st, she has not won a single match. 5 consecutive first-round losses. Storm Hunter beat her in Indian Wells. McCartney Kessler beat her in Miami. Anna Bonder beat her in Charleston. Solana Sierra beat her in Madrid. Each loss was a first-round exit. Each one added another layer of doubt. This is not a slump in the ordinary sense. This is a player whose confidence mechanism has broken. And the pattern is revealing. 3 of those 5 losses came against opponents ranked below her. This is not about facing players she cannot handle. This is about failing to execute under the weight of expectation. When you lose to someone ranked 50 places below you in round 1, the problem is not physical. The problem is inside. So both players arrive in Rome in states of professional distress. The difference is the direction. Eala is distressed because she is climbing a ranking ladder and finding that the next rung, clay court confidence, keeps slipping out of her hands. Frech is distressed because the ladder itself seems to be falling away from the wall. One is frustrated by the pace of growth. The other is frightened by the pace of erosion. Tactically, this matchup has fascinating dynamics. Frech is a right-handed baseline player built on power and precision. Her ground strokes carry genuine weight, particularly off the forehand wing, and she combines rally tolerance with the ability to shift into attack when the ball sits up. Her game translates well to clay because she is comfortable in longer exchanges and because her tactical awareness allows her to construct points rather than relying solely on clean winners. She averages just over 3 aces per match in 2026, which tells you she has some pop on serve without being reliant on it. Eala, by contrast, is a player whose identity was forged on hard courts and whose best tennis involves taking the ball early, redirecting pace, and using her return game to create pressure. On clay, the ball arrives slower, sits up less, and allows opponents to recover from positions that would be terminal on hard courts. The things Eala does brilliantly, absorbing pace, flipping defense into offense with a single swing, become less decisive when the surface absorbs the pace for her opponent. But here is the tactical key for this specific match. Frech's serving has been inconsistent all year. She hits 62.4% of first serves in and averages just over 3 aces per match, but her second serve has become a liability under pressure. When her confidence is intact, she can serve her way out of tight games. When it is fractured, as it clearly is right now, the second serve becomes a sitting target. And Eala's return game is the single best weapon in her arsenal. In Miami, she broke world-class servers consistently. Her ability to read the toss, step inside the baseline, and attack the return is the reason she rose to number 29. If Frech's serve cracks and 5 consecutive first-round losses suggest the serve will crack, Eala's return game becomes the decisive factor. This is not about Eala needing to generate pace she does not have on clay. It is about Eala needing Frech to give her opportunities, and the current evidence says Frech will give them. The counterargument is real, though. Frech is dangerous when she decides to rip. If she finds her forehand early, if she takes control of rallies and pushes Eala behind the baseline, the Filipinos' lack of clay court movement confidence becomes a problem. Eala does not slide naturally into balls the way players raised on dirt do. She does not yet have the instinct to set up 3 shots ahead the way you must on this surface. If Frech finds any rhythm at all, she has the weapons to blast through Eala's defense. There is also the experience factor. Frech has played hundreds of matches across surfaces, including deep runs at WTA 500 and Grand Slam level. She has been in 5-match losing streaks before. She knows what it feels like to break through one. The desperation of a veteran who has been here before can produce surprising focus. Players on losing streaks do not always continue losing. Sometimes the pressure actually flattens out because they have nothing left to protect. Frech might walk onto court with the clearest head she has had in weeks simply because the situation is so bad that hope has been replaced by simple aggression. The intangible factor I keep coming back to is this: what does Rome mean to each player? For Eala, Rome is a station on the way to the French Open. It is her second WTA 1000 on clay this year. It is a chance to prove that the Mertens loss was an outlier, that the Pavlyuchenkova win was the real signal. But it is also the place where Kostyuk destroyed her 1 year ago. The Foro Italico is beautiful, ancient, steeped in tennis history, and it holds a specific, recent memory of Eala being rendered invisible on a tennis court. Replacing that memory is not just a competitive objective. It is a psychological necessity. For Frech, Rome is simpler. It is the next tournament. It is the next chance to stop losing. The clay might help. She has historically performed at roughly equivalent levels across all surfaces, with clay representing a slight advantage in her career numbers. But she needs something external to change the internal pattern, and a first-round match against a player she has never faced before might provide exactly that novelty. There is no head-to-head baggage. There is no tactical familiarity. She can walk out there and play the ball, not the memory. Their head-to-head is blank. They have never played each other in any professional context. This is genuinely new for both of them. Neither one knows how the other's ball feels off the strings, how the other moves under pressure, what the other does when down break point in the second set. That uncertainty benefits the more instinctive player in the short term and the more experienced player in the long term. In a best-of-3 format, you do not have time to figure someone out. You either impose or react. If I am looking at this match honestly, the numbers favor Eala. She is the higher-ranked player by 3 spots. She is the player with recent evidence of high-level clay court execution, even if it came in only 1 match. She is the player with nothing to lose at this specific venue, since last year's result was so bad that literally anything represents an improvement. And critically, she is the player whose best weapon, the return, targets the opponent's worst current problem, the serve under pressure. But I would not call this comfortable. Eala's clay court record this year is still negative. Her confidence on this surface has been punctured repeatedly. And Frech, for all her struggles, remains a player with genuine firepower who is capable of overwhelming opponents when she finds range. If Frech serves even marginally well and finds her forehand depth early, this becomes a grueling physical contest where the extra 8 years of tour experience and the extra inches of height matter. The match also carries different stakes depending on what comes next. If Eala wins, she likely faces Wang Xinyu of China in the second round, the same player who beat her in the Auckland semi-final in January. And lurking in the third round is Elena Rybakina, the world number 2. So even a victory here does not lead to comfort. It leads to escalation. That awareness might actually help Eala play freely in this specific match. When the draw gets harder later, you might as well play the present moment without fear. For Frech, a loss here means the streak extends to 6. It means her ranking will continue to slide. It means the clay swing, which is supposed to be where a player of her profile rebuilds confidence, has failed to produce even 1 win. That kind of extended drought at 28 starts to raise questions about whether the player has entered a genuine career decline rather than a temporary dip. The pressure to win this match is therefore enormous, and enormous pressure has been exactly what Frech has failed to manage all spring. I think this match comes down to the first set. If Eala gets an early break, if her return game produces the immediate pressure it is capable of producing, Frech's fragility becomes self-reinforcing. The pull will tighten, serve worse, and give away more opportunities. Eala does not need to play her best tennis. She needs Frech to play her worst, and then she needs to be clinical enough to convert. But if Frech holds early, if she gets through her first two service games cleanly and starts dictating from the forehand side, the match could flip entirely. Momentum on clay is heavy. Once it moves in one direction, the surface itself resists reversal. You can find this match on the Tennis Channel in the United States, streaming through Fubo, DirecTV, or Sling. In the United Kingdom, Sky Sports and Now TV carry the coverage. The first round of the WTA draw begins Tuesday, May 6th, with sessions starting at 11 in the morning local time in Rome, that is 5 a.m. Eastern. Check the official Italian Open schedule for the exact court and time assignment, as those are typically confirmed the evening before. This is a match where the scoreboard will tell one story, and the internal experience of both players will tell another entirely. Whoever wins will carry that victory forward with meaning that far exceeds a single round at a tournament. And whoever loses will have to reckon with what it means to have failed at the exact moment when failure felt most unacceptable. That is what makes first rounds at WTA 1000 events different from first rounds anywhere else. The draw is enormous, the field is brutal, and there is nowhere to hide. Not for Eala. Not for Frech. Not for anyone watching.